Mixed media is a term used to describe artworks composed from combinations of different media or materials. 4 forms of mixed media include collage, decoupage, found art, and book alteration. April 2018, the Mojave Desert, Indian Cove, Sister's Vacation. We sought dark parks and the Milky Way and found a parliament of owls. They reminded me that I am an artist. Old wounds are healed. All the ghosts from the past start creeping in, barely concealed under moonlight. I am drunk on too little sleep and the scent of anxiety. Still Life with Chair Caning, 1912 by Pablo Picasso. Minotaur, Monster, Mixed Media Pioneer. But Goddesses and Doormats was not the rabbit hole I was looking to fall in when researching the origins of collage. I need to go back further. I have cigar boxes, envelopes, and a designated junk drawer full of ripped paper, practice paintings, prints and patterns, blind contours, meditation doodles, gift wrap, thank you notes, greeting cards, scraps of ephemera, flotsam and jetsam just waiting to be made whole. 200 BC China, paper is invented. 10th century Japan, calligraphers glue paper and text onto surfaces to write poetry. 15th and 16th centuries Europe, gold leaf, gemstones, and metals used in Gothic cathedrals and religious art. July 2020, the last email. I miss you so much. How are you and your cubs and hubs? I saw your number on my missed calls today and have been flooded with how long it's been since we've had a proper gab. Jeffrey is at work. He works nights now, and I wanted to check in and connect. Last I heard from you, you mentioned everyone being sick. Not sure if that was literal or metaphorical, physical or spiritual, or D, all of the above. I hope this note finds you all healthy and on the thriving side of surviving. Down here, it's mostly surviving. Even before the global reckoning, this year started off as a major challenge. My anxiety was bonkers, and I couldn't decide if I was going through a midlife crisis, early onset dementia, perimenopause, or a combo of the 3. The pandemic only exacerbated the situation, being an essential employee and having to create and navigate new policy and procedures in all aspects of life. The day we realized this COVID thing was going to be a problem, my beloved Moby cat died unexpectedly. So the first 3 weeks of the pandemic were a dense fog of grief. And given all that was happening, it seemed like the right time to blow up our lives even more when we decided to begin our exit plan for the yurt and disband our community. The Heyoka effect. This was such a hard decision to accept because I felt like I was breaking a promise to God. I have reconciled my feelings since then, but now I'm in this new life that I never saw coming, just wondering if anything will ever make sense again. The need to keep safe in my tight and tiny family circle is the only thing that feels right. Even writing all these words has me exhausted, and there's not that many. Please let me know how you are. I keep thinking of the land we built in our minds together and the pineapples and cinnamon gum and what happened. Whatever happened to spontaneous living? Love, Shana. Death of a friendship. Grief. The loss of a friendship I was ready to end, and yet there is an ache. Something undone, left in the void. Ghosted. No epilogue. Just an unfollow and an unanswered email. That's it, done. 30 years to 0. Delete contact, goodbye. In the twilight hours known as owl light, that dusky, uncertain time of day that hovers between light and dark, the paths through the woods take on a mystical quality. In the 4th grade, we were assigned an elderly pen pal. Rose was mine. Her husband was an artist, but he died. She sent me a collage he had made. It was minimal and sparse. Thin strips of colored paper glued onto white poster board, abstractly assembled in an arcing composition like a bridge or a hill with plenty of space in between, small enough to slide into an envelope. I never wrote her back. January 2021, phone note. Let's just assume I'll let you down. February 2022, phone note. The owls started arriving in my art when I finally realized that my oldest friendship had died. The process of collage was viewed as a mixture of both elevated and diminished elements. February 2021, post-therapy journal entry. I'm stuck here at the surface. It is so hard to scratch down deep. The ground is frozen. My nails are cut short. I can't reach into the heart of the matter. Is there something wrong with me? Psychopomp, definition. In Greek mythology, a guide of souls to the place of the dead. The spiritual guide of a living person's soul. October 2021. Ghost chaser, owl, soul conductor. The psychopomp arrives when it is time to guide us through the spiraling veil of clouds. To the edge of the Milky Way, we find our ancestors among the stars. This is not an easy path. There are no guarantees how long we get to love, how long we get to be loved. The owls called the other night from the oak. They called, and she answered. Adele was gone. There was nothing we could have done. Despair makes us awkward, fumbling hands reaching, uncomfortably long hugs, gibberish and snot. One more lesson in grief, the fuel for inspiration. Renowned poet Molly Peacock turns biographer to bring us the riveting history of Mary Delaney, 1700 to 1788. Question: what experiences led her to collage? Answer: first, she had to have all of her years of childhood romances, first marriage hardship, independence, and finally a sustaining midlife love with her second marriage. Then there were her apprenticeships in various crafts, such as cutting silhouettes and painting. Then she was hit, as we are all hit in our age, by a period of mourning. Everyone, the most fortunate among us, begin to lose people in our age. And it is that loss and all of her practice in her crafts that allowed her to step forward in this art. She died on 15 April 1788, leaving behind an extraordinary legacy of drawings, embroideries, letters, and exactly 985 cut paper flowers. It has been said that Delaney's pioneering and inspirational floral mosaics were the precursor to the collage art form. Today, 2022. So many things have come to their end, died, been lost, surrendered to, released since the pandemic started, and the owls. The owls have become a way to cope. In creating them, I give over my shame, guilt, anger, grief, allowing them to be carried away and regurgitated. Using mixed media and collage in my recent body of work has had a similar effect. Smearing paint across cardboard in a wild rage, sobbing my heart out after a hard day, ripping apart paintings and poetry with bare hands, torn to shreds, reduced to rubble. I can scribble mad lines in oil pastel and colored pencil onto substrate coated with base layers, bright and hopeful. I can scrape and scratch with knives, remove and reveal with sandpaper. And when I feel better, I begin the process of mend and repair, reconciliation, the salving of wounds, turning words into wings, paper scraps become moons, and my soul takes flight once more. I'm going to give you a glimpse inside of my process. The opening at Nashville North Studios was just a couple nights ago, and one of my big takeaways from talking with everyone who came was trying to understand my process more, which I find I still have a hard time harnessing the words to describe it in that way. I consider myself still in a learning process. I'm still experimenting. I feel like I'm still trying to find what my style is, and I'm tapping into, influences. I'm learning, I'm researching from other artists. And so I thought maybe I would just show you how I approach the paper, or what I'm thinking about as I'm starting a piece, and just to give you a glimpse to how the process is. It's not consistent. It's a little different every time. What I'm influenced by, what's happening in my life, all of those people, all of those factors influence my process. And so, which is why I feel like it's an evolving experience. So I just thought I would give you an idea of what I'm showing up with today. A few things on my mind are, I get a lot of my inspiration on my morning walks along the salt marsh, the sunrise, the clouds before sunrise, and even though I'm not translating this inspiration literally, I'm thinking about the colors, I'm thinking about textures, I'm thinking about maybe an affirmation that's running through my head, or a problem that I'm trying to find a solution to. And so because when I'm really working in my full state of flow, it's a joyful process. I feel like I'm playing. I'm not really seeking an outcome. I'm working directly onto the paper or onto the canvas, and really just allowing whatever needs to come through be almost like a journal entry or a diary entry for me at that time, that I can look back on and know what I was going through and what I was working on at that time. So this morning I've gathered a bunch of materials that I'll just show you what I'm working with. So as far as paints, this morning I've decided to go with a bunch of golden high flow paints. So got a color palette here, and we'll see what comes through. My current favorite is the golden high flow green gold. Titanium white, Titan buff, turquoise phthalo, carbon black, sap green, this is one of their teals that I've put into a smaller bottle with a pointy tip, so if you want to do line work or dot work. Bringing in my new current favorite, metallic iridescent bronze fine. Some alcohol ink, acrylic, sepia, like India ink. I also have, just ready just in case, some Craypas Expressionist oil pastels. I'll show you what the box looks like. I always like to see exactly what artists are using so I can order the same thing. These woodless color pencils. Just in case I need them, Blick acrylic, the student grade, really affordable, black and white. And then just a random jar of my brushes. Some yogurt lids in case I want to do some mixing. Regular rag. But I also use these sort of mechanic paper towels. My favorite scrapers, old credit cards and driver's licenses. And to add some texture, just a piece of found cardboard. This doohickey that I found on one of my walks. I haven't used it yet, but this might be a fun time to sort of play and experiment. And then just in case I feel like getting into this, I've become really obsessed with making, you know, handmade mono prints. You just get a couple prints out of it to work with texture. And this is just a standard old sheet protector. And this is a bag that you would bag up a print with. And today, as far as substrates go, I came to the end of, this is my favorite part, I came to the end of my watercolor paper on my current sketch pad, and so I love to use the backing. I feel like there's nothing to lose when you're working on something that would ordinarily be recycled or discarded. And so I find these are my favorite pieces because I really just allow myself to get into the flow, experiment, with absolutely no judgment or expectations. I also have a more intimidating piece of watercolor paper that I will be doing alongside of it. It gives you a, it shows you how the paint works on different surfaces, and so that I'm still, you know, figuring out what I prefer to work on, and how the paint moves. So again, this is just a continuing building of relationship with my materials, my understanding, the way that I work. So that's what I'm going to work with today. I'm going to go get myself a jar of water and turn on some music, and I'm going to begin. For those of you who do already know that I make this also part of my spiritual practice, a lot of times what I'm going to do is I'm not going to turn on a specific type of music that will influence the mood. I normally put on like a shamanic drumming meditation, where just something with like a rhythmic sound, a repeated sounds, to help me access more of a like a trance state, rather than, you know, any kind of you know, singing music. So anyway, typically what I'll use is Sandra Ingerman has a bunch of shamanic drumming options available on Spotify. So I usually just tap into that. Sometimes I'll do something that's more like singing bowls or chanting that you can find. It's really just about finding what helps you get into your flow. And so that seems to be what works best for me. So now that you've gotten a glimpse into the actual creative process that I will go through for a painting. Oh look, Olive's making her appearance too. I think she approves. So from here, I'm not gonna take you through the entire process. This was just a Sunday morning video just to show you an example of my process, how I get from point A to point B, and kind of where I'm going to go next. So my first thoughts after this process and seeing where I'm at was obviously I have a swan type figure here, and this is where synchronicities come in for me, and where it just doesn't feel like there's coincidences, at least, in my interpretation of my art and channeling. And so leading up to the show, we all know that Judy and Jim are going to be closing the doors of Nashville North brick and mortar studio and moving on into different iterations of that business. And so Judy has been making references to, my shared show with Alexis and the Yuletide Guardians Winter Solstice group show as being the swan song of the gallery and studio. And I had a working swan piece that did not come into fruition for the show. I didn't have enough time to finish it. And even at the opening, I had a couple people ask me about the Swan Maiden. So the fact that I have another swan showing up here doesn't feel like a mistake to me. It definitely feels like a being, an entity, an animal, an energy that is appropriate for this time. So that's how I work. I read these messages, how one would read a divination, and kind of roll with it. So from here, I've identified there is a swan emerging. If you are interested in the energy of swans, you can always Google it and just see what type of medicine that carries. And then I have this other piece here, which nothing's jumped out at me yet. I have some cool textures, interesting colors. So whatever this is going to be, it has yet to be revealed. There's a really good chance that this could end up getting dismembered, ripped apart, in order to incorporate into the swan. So this is another way I work, where I might have make a couple pieces at one time, and one piece is revealing itself, the shapes coming forward, the guardians coming out, and maybe the other pieces are materials that will be used and collaged into the main piece. So anyway, I'm feeling really happy with this, and I'm very grateful for the energy of Swan coming through, and I'll keep progress pictures of this on my Instagram page, which is Shana_Kestrel. And then I have a Facebook page, The Art of Shana Kestrel. So if you want to follow the story of the swan, you can check me out there. Anyway, thanks for checking in, and so much gratitude over the years to Judy and Jim for supporting my work and giving me these opportunities. Thanks for sitting through this video, and I'd love your feedback. You can share it here on the YouTube page. You can reach out to me through social media, and be well.